back to this video series on what are geographic information systems, or what is GIS. I'm Dr. Heath Robinson. You know, it happens to be the case that when I talk to some students who get out of a GIS class, or sometimes two or more GIS classes depending on what particular program they are in, I'm very surprised sometimes that they've developed a very narrow view about what the field of geographic information systems really consists of. Sometimes if you've been through some programs or some courses, a student has such a narrow view of geographic information systems that they think that it's just about learning how to operate the technical operations of a particular software package. That if somebody asks them to do something in a particular software package, that they know how to execute that or know how to operate the software. But it's much, much larger than that. And that's why before I actually get into defining what a geographic information system is, I like to talk about what I call the big idea of geographic information systems, so that people realize how broad it is, and so they won't get into that narrow track about oh, GIS is only this. I want to talk about the big idea of GIS and GIS in the round. The core of geographic information systems is using computers to answer geographic questions or to solve geographic problems. I'll say that again because I think that it is so important. The core, the very foundation of geographic information systems as a discipline, is learning how to use computer systems to answer geographic questions or to solve geographic problems. And so you can really see why there are so many different disciplines that want to use geographic information systems as a methodological approach, because many, many different fields besides just people in geography have a need to answer geographic questions or to solve geographic problems. Anytime you're interested in having a computer system know something about your location or where the location is of something else, you're talking about geographic information systems. And they're only becoming more important. Because of the miniaturization of technology, you can do things like put a GPS receiver into almost anything and be able to find its location at all times. We do this, of course, through cell phones. All of a sudden, almost everyone is carrying around a smartphone which has a very sophisticated computer system in it, with a GPS system in it. And so all these new applications of geographic information systems have become possible because people expect to know exactly where they are and know how to get places at all times. Think about when you turn on your cell phone and you get this long list of all of the apps that you've installed that want to use your current location. All of those apps are dependent upon geographic information systems. Sometimes you want to know where are my friends? How close are they? Where are they? Where have they checked into? What kinds of stores are they going to? Where are those stores from me? All of those are geographic information systems, and it takes a whole lot in order to get those things to function. Geographic information systems as a methodology teaches you how those work. Every time we take a photo, geotagging, I was noticing just the other day that when I take a photo, it stores the place where the photo was taken as part of the metadata. We just expect for all of our photos to be automatically geotagged to a particular location. And this has a tremendous impact on the kinds of things we can do with photographic information when just all photos happen to be tagged with latitude and longitude coordinates that say exactly where they happen to be taken. All different kinds of social media applications want to know where you are, where you live, in order to gather information about what you're doing and what the kinds of things you might be interested in. These are big business. Have you ever asked your cell phone to give you a reminder whenever you get home or when you get to work? And you set up a geofence. That's geographic information technology that's helping you out and is giving you those reminders based on your particular location. When you go to the post office and you get a tracking number for a package that you send, today we're expecting to be able to track the package from where you are, where you shipped it from, all the way to its destination. Sometimes every few minutes you want to know exactly what exact time it was that someone signed for that package or where it left a particular distribution center. All of those are geographic information technologies that are interwoven into our society and that we begin to just depend on. This is an excellent time to be involved in geographic information systems for a variety of reasons. The first is because it's computer-based, and it's a characteristic of our society that our computers keep getting more and more capable every single year. Actually, more frequently than every year. Every time that you turn on the news, you can come up with some kind of news story about something new that a computer is being applied to, some new capability that a computer system is having. These are just increasingly capable all the time. So as our computer systems get increasingly capable, we are able to answer more and more complex questions and solve more and more complex problems through the applications of computers. So this is great news for all of us who are in this field, because if our computer systems are getting more and more capable, then we can solve increasingly complicated geographic problems, and we can answer increasingly complicated geographic questions. As long as we know how to use the computer systems and harness them for doing the task and answering the question that we have at hand. And that's what this is all about. I tell my students all the time that we're really beginning to leave the era where our computational capacity is constrained by our desktop or laptop computers. I went to a conference in geographic information science not too long ago where I heard Professor Michael Goodchild, who is definitely one of the preeminent scholars in geographic information systems, talk about how important it is to think big. That many times we constrain the kinds of problems that we try to tackle, or constrain the kinds of questions that we try to answer, because we have this very limited view about what kind of computational power is available to us. We think about desktop-size problems or desktop-size questions because we're used to a certain amount of computational capacity being available to us in our desktop computers. But we're leaving that era. We have left that era. We live in an era of cloud computing now. I like to talk to my students about a variety of different services that can provide them all kinds of computational capacity if they need it, even for a very short time, in order to answer a question or to solve a problem that they might have. Using cloud computing, if you need 100 servers or 1,000 servers for even just a couple of hours to work on some kind of problem, you can have that, and very inexpensively. So I try to tell my students we need to think about the problems that you want to answer, the questions that we need to solve. We need to start thinking big. We don't need to artificially limit ourselves to just the problems or just the questions that we can work on with a single CPU sitting in our laptop computer. We can really think much, much larger than that now, as long as you know how to employ the computer resources to answer your questions or to solve your problems. That's what learning geographic information systems are all about. So even though in many cases when you talk about geographic information systems, you take an introductory course in them, yes, sure, you'll be using some kinds of software packages that are available to you, perhaps for the desktop or available through a web application, but that's not intended to limit you in the kinds of questions you can ask or problems you can solve. If you've got a much larger question that you want to answer, we want to learn in this discipline how do we employ the computer system's resources that are available through the cloud or through a computer system to really answer some sophisticated questions. So I don't like it when people are very narrow in what they think about this field. The field of geographic information systems really should provide you with all kinds of opportunities to learn how to employ computer systems to answer the big questions or to solve the big problems. You have to learn some foundational material, yes, absolutely. But then once you learn that, you can really begin to dramatically increase the way that you apply computer systems to your problems in order to come up with answers and solutions that you would never have been able to get to before. So all of this is to say what geographic information systems are sort of in the round, both how we encounter them in our everyday life through cell phone technology and many other technologies, but then also how we can use these things on a much larger level to answer increasingly sophisticated questions or solve increasingly sophisticated problems. What I want to do from here is talk about what geographic information systems are as a definition. What's the definition of a geographic information system? So you sort of know one when you see one. So we'll talk about what this definition of a geographic information system is next.